Welcome to Five True Singles. The story you're about to hear is from Nate Jackson, and it was recorded on December 8th, 2013. The theme of the evening was Elephant in the Room, stories of ignoring, confronting, or being that thing no one wants to talk about.
So like was said in the intro, I played in the NFL for 6 years for the Denver Broncos. And yeah, all right, Bronco fan? Or not? But during that 6 years, we probably took about 60 road trips. And those are one-night trips, just a business trip to the other city and back. And on Saturday morning, I'll give you one particular story. It was the opening game of 2008. We were playing the Buffalo Bills, so we would get there on Saturday morning early for a couple hours of meetings. The NFL is a lot of meetings. 4 hours of meetings every single day. Yeah, you would think that you're out there running around, smacking each other on the butt, throwing the ball around. It's a lot of meetings. It's a lot of sitting still and not speaking. And just listening to our coaches go on and on and on. So after a couple hours of meetings, we put on our suits, our poorly tailored suits, overpriced suits, tied the knots, and got onto our buses. Actually, first we had the TSA screening at the facility, which is cool. They came to the facility and wanded us down in a field, an indoor field, and then we got on the buses, and the buses go through the city with a police escort. So we have cops on motorcycles clearing the path for us, pointing at motorists, "Get out of the way, we got a football team coming through!" And they'd look up at the bus, so confused, and I'd look down. I was confused as well. And we rolled right up onto the tarmac of the airport, right next to the plane. And I felt really presidential, you know, getting off the bus and walking up, ascending the stairs, and the wind blowing through my hair. And took my seat on the plane, said hello to the stewardesses. We had the same group of stewardesses every week. They were like the queen bees of the United Flight Attendant Hive. They had tenure, you know, they were the smooth, suave, beautiful old ladies, and they loved us, we loved them. And I think partly why they liked us is because they didn't have to go through any of the pre-flight safety stuff, none of that mumbo jumbo. We could do whatever we wanted on the plane. We could stand up during takeoff, which we often did. In the back. That was usually on the way home, and if we won, we could stand up back there with a beer, and you have to lean forward like you're a ski jumper as it takes off. So everyone knows God loves the NFL way too much to crash one of its planes, so we could do whatever we wanted. It was great. So we landed in Buffalo after a long flight, and back onto the tarmac with the buses and police escort, and back to the hotel where we go in a back door, and there's a table with envelopes and your name on it. So I grabbed the one with my name on it. It had my room key. It had a room list, an itinerary. And the room list comes in handy if you want to crank call somebody, or if you want to know the identity of the guy who's next to you 3 feet away while you're both masturbating to internet or to free hotel pornography. We got 2 pay-per-view movies the night before the games, and I'm pretty sure everyone watched porn. I watched porn, but I didn't watch porn. Do you know what I mean? Because I like to not discharge prior to a game. I like to keep that inside. But anyway.
Inside the NFL.
Yeah. So we get a couple of hours to ourselves when we get there. Not much time, though. It's very strict, very regimented. The itinerary is down to the minute. And so we get a couple hours to ourselves, then we have dinner, then a couple more hours of meetings, and then, a couple more hours of meetings, and then we had a late night snack, and that was about 9:30. Chicken wings, hamburgers, pies, cakes, ice cream. Doesn't seem like a good pregame meal, but that's what we were all eating. We were just stuffing our faces. And so we'd eat a little bit, and then I'd ask Greek, our trainer, for some Ambien, which he produced and put it in my hand. I didn't need Ambien to go to sleep, but I just like to take it and watch porn. So anyway, so eventually I fall asleep and slept great, and wake up in the morning, and then it's game day. And so when it's game day, you know, your adrenaline's really, really going. It's a feeling of urgency in the NFL. Every moment is so important. Everybody's so on edge about everything. And so game day, your adrenaline's really, really going. And so I was very excited. I woke up like tingling. Also abetted by the fact that the night before, I forgot to tell you this, but after the meetings, about 15 or 20 of us would line up for a needle in the butt from our team doctor of this powerful drug called Toradol. It's a powerful painkiller, anti-inflammatory that a lot of us relied on the day before a game. We were dealing with injuries or we just felt like we needed it. My body was breaking down at that point in my career. It was 6 years in. But you know, when your body's breaking down, you don't listen to it. You just keep pushing forward against your better judgments, against that little voice in your head saying, stop, don't do that. You know, it was full speed ahead no matter what. So I woke up in the morning feeling great, and it was always nice rolling in on the buses to the stadium. Because the fans were out tailgating, you get to see a new neighborhood, and the fans would all say, fuck you, and you ride by, you know. And it actually, different cities flipped you off in different ways. It was pretty interesting. Like Green Bay was kind of polite. They were like, fuck yeah. And Oakland, they were just zombies swarming the bus, throwing eggs at the bus. Yeah, it was really fun. But then we got onto the field, warmed up, and we're feeling great. And I think we were leading at halftime, and we come out for the first play of the second half, and a player from their team hit a player from our team head on, a pretty routine looking football play, but he crumpled and he fell to the ground and didn't move at all. And my friend Tony and I were standing there while they tended to him, and Tony said, I think he looks dead. And I said, I think so too. And we were just talking in jest, but we were pretty close to being correct. He broke his neck, severed his spine, and almost died right there on the field. There was some quick-acting medical treatment that really saved his life. They injected something in his blood that made his body temperature drop, and they were able to save his life, and he actually walks now. But at the time, we didn't know any of that. We saw him motionless for 30 minutes on the floor. Everybody in the stadium was completely quiet, and eventually they got him up, put him in an ambulance, drove him off, and as soon as he was out of sight, the game started again. And it was like nothing ever happened. And I forgot all about it. We all forgot all about it, because you have to forget about that to convince yourself that this is something worth doing. Throwing yourself into that human as fast as you can, head first, is not smart. But we did it for a living. And so we went back out there on the field, and it was a really exciting, close game. And it came down to the last couple of seconds. I was on the field goal team, so I was blocking for the kick. And we had no timeouts left, and we had to run on the field for the very last kick. We were down by 2 points. We were running out there. We didn't know how much time was on the clock, but the whole entire stadium was counting down so we could hear them. So it was really nice of them to do that. 10, 9, 8. We got there just in time. The snap, the kick, it was good. I chased down our kicker, tackled him. We all dogpiled on top of him. It was a really, really triumphant moment. It was the first game of the season, and we were all so happy. And we'd all forgotten about Kevin Everett, who broke his neck and who was in the hospital. And we were joyous in the locker room, and we got on the plane, and we're drinking beers in the back, standing straight up, slightly tilted forward as it took off. And we got pretty drunk on that flight home. And one of our guys towards the end of the flight, an older guy, he was a little drunk. He grabbed the intercom. Most of the people were asleep on the plane. But there was about 10 of us in the back partying. And he grabbed the intercom or the mic. He said, "Everybody, we live in the greatest country in America." I want you guys to stand up, put your hands over your heart, and sing with me. And he sang "God Bless America" at full tilt on the intercom. And a couple guys stood up, were good sports about it, and put their hands over their hearts. But for the most part, everyone was pissed off that they woke them up. It was 3 in the morning at that point. But eventually we landed, and the buses were there. We hopped on the buses, and we drove back to our facility where our cars were, and there, sitting in front of the facility in the snow, in her folding chair, was Bronco Betty, who is this super fan, this Broncos fan who's like the super fan you can imagine. She bleeds orange. She was middle-aged, fairly overweight, walked with a walker, had a variety of health issues, but was unwavering with her support of the Broncos. Every time we left on a trip, she was there to say goodbye to us. Every time we came home, she was sitting there to welcome us, no matter if we won or lost. And she knew everyone's name on the team. And as we were walking to our cars, I love you guys. I love you, Broncos. I love you, Nate. I love you, Betty. And that was what the trip was like. And we did all kinds of those trips. And they were blurs, and they defied logic. And we had to convince ourselves that we were unbreakable, even when we weren't. And when we watched it happen in front of our face, we still didn't learn. And that's it.
The story you just heard, completely true.